Hey, Jeremiah. Thanks for joining us today. Our first question will come from Jacob Turner. So go ahead, Jacob.
Hey Jeremiah, in your eyes, what was the primary difference between the defense's first half performance against Florida State and the second half? Was it schematics? Was it effort? Was it focus? What was it for you?
I think it was just everybody on the defense doing their job. It's something we talked about at the beginning of the game, and the first half wasn't what we talked about at all. Coming in at halftime, there was no ink drawing up at halftime. It was strictly everybody doing their job. We didn't have any schematic flaws at halftime. We came in, we found out that people were misfitting gaps, trying to do too much, instead of just doing their job. And that was really the case in the first half. It was just everybody making sure they're doing their job. And in the second half, I think you saw that everybody was doing their job, and we were able to get a lot of stops on defense.
Thanks, Jeremiah.
Mark Armstrong, go ahead.
Jeremiah, how do you define this rivalry? What makes it particularly spicy playing these guys each year and making it a game that people enjoy so much?
It's an in-state rivalry game. I mean, something really to get excited about, especially this early in the year. Usually we're facing them the second last game. Last year we played them the very last game of the season. It's something to really get excited about, especially coming off a loss against Florida State.
All right, Ross Martin. Go ahead, Ross.
Jeremiah, what kind of message do you want to send in this game after coming off a loss and going against a big rival?
I just want to go back and do what we did the first couple of weeks and stopping the run, show that we can get back to where we were the first couple of weeks of the season, showing that we can be a top run stuffing team in this country. And I think that's what they pride themselves on too. They pride themselves on toughness. They pride themselves on running the ball, running inside zone, counter game, stretch. And I think if we can stop that, that'll be great for us.
And getting into the run defense, what do you have to do? You said, obviously, do your job, play a role, but schematically, can you kind of take a step back and into the film room on what needs to happen for you to stop NC State's run attack and your role in it too?
Yeah, it's been a little different than the past couple of weeks we've seen. VTech and Florida State both use the equalizer of running the quarterback. Always when a team runs a quarterback, there's a player that when you run the running back, there's always a player that you're not accounted for. When you're running the QB, there's always a player that's left open. Like you're gonna have to get another player in the run fit. So this week we're gonna have to kind of go back to week 1 and week 2 of this year, since they're a big 11 and 12 personnel team and they don't really run the QB so much. So I think the scheme is gonna be a lot different than the past 2 weeks when we faced VTech and Florida State.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead, CL Brown.
Jeremiah, I wanted to get your take on why tackling has been kind of an issue in these past 2 games.
Tackling's been a problem for I think a couple of reasons. Maybe because we didn't have the off season that we usually have. Usually we tackle a lot more during the off season, but it's also every man doing their job. When a man's not doing their job and another guy has to take over for that and try to get in the fit, usually he's gonna swipe and miss the tackle because he's going out of his element and going out of his gap to try to make someone else right. So for us, looking back on film and seeing all the missed tackles, it was a lot of people doing other people's jobs and then trying to make a tackle and missing the tackle. So I feel like really working hard. Like today we had a tackle circuit. We worked on a lot of open field space tackling drills, using the sideline as leverage. And I think we just need to carry those techniques that we have in practice into the game, and along with everybody doing their job.
What is the challenge like in terms of, when we talked to the coaches yesterday, like we know you guys don't hit to the ground every time in practice. What's the challenge like going from kind of simulating how tackling should be and angles and everything like that to actually doing it on Saturdays? Is there a disconnect of not actually following through, during the week and then having to do it? Like, does that factor into it at all?
For me, no, I don't feel like there's any excuses. In practice, if you go full speed and you track it back hip like you're supposed to, and you go full speed, then that should transpire to the game. But if you're not going full speed in practice and you're not giving it all, then you're going to end up seeing that in the game. And I think us looking back on film from prior weeks, if us going a little bit harder in our tackling circuits, it'll transpire to the game.
Thanks.
All right, last one from Greg Barnes.
Hey, Jeremiah, you broke down the run defense aspect of this game on Saturday. I wanted to ask what challenges Bailey Hockman presents at quarterback.
Looking back on his film, he actually has a really strong arm. He's not as maneuverous as the other quarterbacks, but he still buys time with his feet to get his receivers open. He lets his blocks set up for him instead of him scrambling way outside the pocket. He sets up, buys time for his receiver to make a throw. Obviously, he's not as elusive as the prior quarterbacks, but also the prior quarterbacks we faced haven't had an arm like him. So yeah, the passing game is definitely going to be something we're going to have to scheme up this week versus prior weeks before, where they only had a couple routes in the route tree, when NC State has a lot more routes in their route tree than NC State and Florida State did, or B-Tech did.
Great. Thank you, Jeremiah.
No problem. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you.